Good morning. UTEs, welcome everyone. Today we are blessed to have with us Minister Reverend Anita Koch, our pianist our Indies choir. Speaking of, turn to your opening hymn, please, number 1. Praise God, that good is every word. Thank you, God, ahead of time. And now, Russ and Ruchi will come read the daily word for us. Just trust.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I place my trust in God. Few things are greater comfort than deep and abiding trust in God. When I trust, I move more confidently through life. I feel the wind at my back and am made strong in the face of adversity. In the past, I may have felt disappointed when I misplaced my trust. The things of the world are impermanent. Even people come and go. The truth of God is the one presence and power in the universe, and as my life is everlasting, unchanged, and unchanging through all the seasons of life. Even as I grow, evolve, and deepen in spiritual understanding, God is always my source, the inspiration I return to again and again. My freedom to seek and discover lies in the awareness that I can always trust in God. Trust in the Lord forever, for in the Lord God you have an everlasting rock. Isaiah 26:4.
Thank you. Thanks, Roseanne. Now, the choir will come up and help us in singing our hymn number 42, This Is My Father's World, and we will sing verses 1 and 2 only.
Years.
back of your yellow insert, you say our statement of being together. It's in the middle of the back of your yellow insert. Let's really think of the words as we're saying this. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am individualized expression of God. I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Now we'll sing the Lord's Prayer, followed by Reverend Anita's meditation.
Divine presence, thine is the kingdom and the power forever. We feel that presence in every moment. It has always been and will always be. We are individualized expressions of the Most High. We live, breathe, and have our being through that divinity that lives with us, and it lives through us as us. It is for us to remember, to understand that we are that living divinity. We are worthy. We are love. We are peace. Everything that we wish to see in the world, we already are. It is for us to understand this, to express this, not just on Sunday morning, not just when we're in prayer and meditation, but in those most challenging of moments. We need to understand that divine is working in and through us. We do not go through things. They are given to us as opportunities for our growth. There's something there for us to learn. Let us go into that quiet place
place within, that place where we are one with that divinity within, and sit in the silence, be still, and know. We are one. One mind, one presence, one power. And we know and understand now more than ever that we can take that presence and power with us into every circumstance, every situation. It is there for us, with us, and moves through as us. It is only for us to understand and allow. We are so grateful for this knowing, so grateful for this divine presence, and we thank you, Holy Spirit, for all that you give and all that you do through us, as us. And together we all say, Amen.
Accept
choir, there is a presence, there is a power within each and every one of us that is more than able to do whatever it is we want to do or need to do or feel that we have to do. And the daily word, I just love how the daily word seems to fit right into what I wanted to talk about. So, all the time, it happens all the time. The affirmation is, I place my trust in God. And if you ask yourself, who do I trust and why do I trust them? What is the answer that you might come up with? Don't we tend to trust the people that we feel understand us? Aren't those the people that we really trust? It's like, oh, they really get me, right? And therefore, I trust them. And today we're talking about understanding, because understanding is the power of the month. It is the power of the month of July. And I just think it's one of the most important of our 12 plus powers. We have a lot of powers that we don't understand. We don't use them. And understanding is the basis of all of those powers. We build on our understanding to know, to have more faith, to have more love, to have more of everything. So I really look at understanding as being one of the bedrocks of everything else. And I'm sure that most of you are probably familiar with the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, the peace prayer. And it is a gorgeous, I mean, I could easily do a talk on that, which gives me what I give. One of the lines, though, today that I would like to focus on is it says, let me to seek not so much to be understood as to understand. And as Unity Truth students, we know that everything begins where? Right here. In our heads and our hearts, right? It begins with us. So when we say, let me seek to understand, let us first begin by seeking to understand ourselves. Self-awareness is so important, and I'm coming to the end of the class work part of my ministerial studies, and I have come to the conclusion that the past 3+ years have been all about one big, huge self-awareness trip. That's what it is. That's what I've been learning. I've been learning more about me. And then when I stand up here and talk to you guys, I'm just telling you what I learned. The thing is, I want to be sure that each and every one of you are using this. It has been life-changing for me. Life-changing. And it's, you know, the easy stuff is the fun stuff, the easy stuff, it's all great. I mean, thank you. I am really, really grateful for the easy, fun stuff. But you know when I really use what I learned here? In the really challenging stuff. When things get really rocky, when the waves are like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle this. That's when we can be still and know that there is a presence and power right here. It's not out there somewhere. It's not sitting up on some throne in the clouds. It's here with us all the time. And it's in those really challenging moments that we draw on this. This stuff is so powerful. And I just want so much for each and every one of you to be using it daily. Live it. These are principles, these are teachings, but this is life, people. This is all about our lives and how we live on a day-to-day basis. As within, so without. That's life. I think it was Butterfield, but I'm not sure who said it. But the law of mind action, maybe it was Charles Fillmore, how about that one? One of the co-founders of Unity, Charles Fillmore, said, "Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind." That's a simple little statement. Do you realize the power behind that statement? What we think about, what we hold in our minds, and not just our minds, but in our hearts. The stuff that we worry about, we're bringing more of it. The stuff that we love and enjoy and go, man, this is great. We're bringing more of it. So what are we focusing on? That's where the self-awareness comes in. That's where the understanding comes in. What we think about, we bring about. What are we focusing on? Are we worried about this and worried about that? And, oh, the prices are so high, and how am I going to pay for this? And, oh, and my son is doing this, and my grandchildren are doing that, and I'm so concerned. You want more of that? Okay. Because that's what the universe says. It's like we have free will. Free will. We get to choose. And we can choose to be worried and frustrated and concerned. And that's all so sweet of you. But thank you very much. I love you all, but I'm not going to worry about you. I'm not. I'm going to love you. I'm going to see you as complete and whole and fully capable. You are able, more than able, to handle whatever comes in front of you. Why? Because there is a presence and a power greater than any problem out there. And guess where it is? Right inside you all the time. Ask, seek, knock. Ask and the door will be opened. Seek and you will find. I mean, it's there. The dictionary defines understanding as our ability to know, perceive, and comprehend. Charles Fillmore tells us the physical location of this power of understanding is the front of our brain. Well, I had to figure that one out because I'm not a biology major or human body major. The frontal lobe, the front of our brain, is responsible for our higher mental and cognitive functions. It's responsible for our memories. What do you choose to focus on from your memories? You focusing on the good stuff that you remember, or all those horrible, horrible things that happened when you were 7 years old? I mean, I get it. Some bad stuff happened to some of us as we grew up. And you can focus on it, or you can say, you know, God, or divine presence, or Yahweh, or whatever name you want to give to it. That was awful. I don't know why I had to go through that in this life experience. I know also that it is for me to let that go. To say, I put it in your hands, the person, the human being that I feel was responsible for it was doing the best they could, and it was awful. The best that they could do was, I want to say a bad word, but I'm not going to. Not in church. I know it was awful, but I'm going to say, you know what? I forgive you. And I'm not forgiving you because what you did was okay. I'm not forgiving you because what you did was right, or I'm not forgiving you because I didn't like you. I'm forgiving you for me. Because I don't want to carry that around anymore. I'm done with it. It's in my past, and I'm going to let that go. You know, last month, for June, the power was imagination. And isn't it interesting the way imagination flows right in to understanding? Because we can use our imaginations any way we want. And once we take our understanding and use our understanding to direct our imaginations, guess what? We can also direct our own lives. We can change. What's happening out there, that's not as important as what's happening in here. And if we take charge of what's happening in here, then we are also taking charge of what's happening out there. Because it's really not what's happening that matters. It's how we respond to what's happening. And we have a choice. You know, we can look at whatever the situation is and say, it's awful, I hate it, I'm hurt, but I can handle it, I am able, I am well able, and I'm taking you to that presence and power within to help me handle it, to help me deal with it. Or we can say, oh my, I'm broken. It did me in. I'll never be the same. My life is ruined. Oh dear. What do you want? What do you want? That's what we need to be asking ourselves. What do we really want to experience in our lives? And if we want to be experiencing joy and prosperity and friendship and love and peace, what should we be focusing on? How about joy, love, prosperity, and peace? the disciple for this month, for understanding, is the most opposite of what you would think the disciple for understanding should be. It's Thomas. Anybody ever heard of doubting Thomas? This is understanding? Yes. Why? Because Thomas was there when Jesus hung on the cross, when he bled and died and suffered. And Thomas was there when his body was toast. And he watched all that. He saw that. And then down the road, Thomas is out, I don't know, doing the grocery shopping or something. But he wasn't there. And Jesus walked into, the disciples they're freaking out. Jesus has just been tortured and killed in front of their very eyes, and Christians are being persecuted, and they're like, okay, we're in trouble now. So they are in a locked room where nobody can find them, and nobody can get in. Shades are drawn, shaking like a leaf. And all of a sudden, this human individual, probably blown a little bit, has this aura, this presence about him, walks into the room, and they look and they're like, I can't be seeing what I'm seeing. This is not possible. Jesus was standing in their midst. He holds out his hands. Look, touch if you want to. It's me. And so the disciples are like, oh my gosh, it's a miracle. Jesus is back. Jesus has risen. Jesus is the Savior, the Son of God, for sure. We're convinced. Thomas, out doing the grocery shopping, wasn't there. He didn't see that. So when he gets back, and they're all like, man, you should have been here. You should have seen it. Jesus was right here in our midst. Wow, he's alive. And Thomas is like, okay, what have you guys been smoking? He's like, I don't think so. Nice try. And boy, are you enthusiastic, but nah. I ain't behind it. Have you ever met somebody like that? So, just because you believe it and you saw it, I'm from Missouri and I want proof. Ever heard of that? That's from my childhood somewhere in the recesses. So Jesus knew that Thomas doubted. So what did he do? He showed up again. Thomas was around. And the thing is, Jesus understood that Thomas was there for the bad stuff, saw all that, but he wasn't present. He wasn't there when Jesus appeared to the rest of the disciples. So he didn't judge Thomas. He didn't say, come on, they told you, why didn't you believe them? Nothing like that. Jesus understood. And Jesus went to Thomas and he said, there's no need to doubt. I'm here. Go ahead. Touch my hands. Touch the hole in my side. It's real. I'm real. And guess what? Thomas did. And he believed. We're not going to be able to touch the physical presence of Jesus. But we can touch anytime we want to that place within us where that presence and that power lives. The same power that was in our way shower Jesus. In unity, we call Jesus our way shower. He is the human version that we get to follow. And didn't Jesus tell everyone, these things that I do, these and more, you will do also? You are able, well able, because that presence and power lives in, through, and as each and every one of you. Understand that. Understand yourself. When you say, I love the prayer that, or invocation, or whatever you call that thing, that we said this morning with Carol. Thank you for using that, Carol. When you say, I am an individualized expression of God, do you feel the power in that? Because there is so much power in those words. I am. All right, this is it. This is a test. I want to hear it from all of you as if you really, really mean it, know it, feel it. Don't just say it. Don't just mouth it. Close your eyes. Go into that heart space. And let's say together with feeling, I am an individualized expression of God. I am an individualized expression of God. Did you feel that? I mean, it's like plugging in something. It's plugging into the power source. And that's what we can do anytime. Anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances. It doesn't matter what's going on out there. It's what's going on in here. And we have the ability. Ever heard the word responsibility? Do you know what it really means? It means we are able to respond how we choose to whatever it is. We are response-able, well-able. We can choose our responses. So, there's these things called triggers. And we all have them. We all have them. And one thing I just recently learned this. I mean, I guess in a way I kind of knew it in the back of my mind, but it was brought to the front of my mind. When those triggers are either occurring or even before they occur, we get signals. And it's up to us to understand what our own signals are. And they are, okay, you get it. Is your neck kind of going? Or I heard one of my fellow students said, my shoulders kind of go up to my ears. Or maybe it's the stomach. Maybe you feel it there. Our body gives us signals. And we can learn to, I mean, our bodies are pretty smart. Sometimes smarter than our heads. going on here that you're not gonna like. Have you ever walked into a room and all of a sudden it's like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up? And nobody's said anything, nobody's done anything, nothing's happened. But it's like, I don't know that you want to go here. That's our body communicating with our heart, telling us that something's happening here, and here's the interesting part. At that point in time, we get to make a choice. We can say, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, I'm so upset, I don't know how I'm gonna handle this. Or we can say, we can take a stance of curiosity. What's that all about? Gee, maybe there's something here for me to learn. Okay, this is an opportunity. We can change our paradigm. And when we change our paradigm, what's out there changes. Because now all of a sudden, that person that confronts you, instead of you going, whoa, what's that all about? Because you listened to your body, because you felt the shoulders up to the ear or the queasiness in the stomach or whatever it happens to be for you, because we're all different. We are individualized expressions of God. So now, because you are taking notice of what's going on in your body, you can say, well, hello. Nice to meet you too. And you can listen, and you can choose how you will respond. And maybe your response is, you know, I have to go. And that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to stand there and try to match wits. I'm terrible with that. You know, I have been in situations, I'm sure we all have, where the person that's speaking is just so confident and so righteous and so I know. And I sit there like, you do, don't you? And I can't think of a thing to say. We were at actually a memorial, and someone I hadn't seen in a long time came up to me and started talking politics at a memorial. Are you kidding me? Whatever. Anyway, so after she very confidently started saying all this stuff, and she knows that we are on opposite ends of the political spectrum. She knows this, and she brought it up deliberately, I'm sure. And so she went through her little spiel, and I listened, and finally I just made one small comment, and it was like, and then I said, you know, Mike, it's really time we should get going. We do have that graduation party we have to get to. And if I ever see her again, that'll be too soon. Hey, it's okay. I don't have to be perfect at responding to other people's negativity, or I don't even want to call it negativity. It's her opinion. It's her opinion. And she's entitled to her opinion. I just don't happen to want to be around it. So we have the ability to respond. And that's how I chose to respond in that situation. And I'd like to share with you, I found this story to be absolutely perfect to kind of illustrate today's message. It was many years ago, and there was a monastery up in the hills, very remote, tiny village in Hungary. And the brothers were getting older, and maybe because of their remoteness, I don't know, their numbers had dwindled. They were down to 3. That's all that was left in this monastery. And over the years, they had gotten a little cynical, a little critical of one another. And it used to be that people would flock to the monastery and the sanctuary to hear their evening vespers and to come and pray with them. People didn't do that anymore. They just didn't show up. And so the grounds that were once beautifully cared for with flowers and fountains and paths and places to sit and meditate were kind of overgrown. And, you know, they did some stuff. It wasn't the worst place in the world, but it didn't look like it used to. And they were starting to get a little worried about what the future of the monastery was going to be. And so they did some praying and did some meditating. They still did that on a regular basis. And one of the monks was down in town, and he heard that a wise woman had come to the area and had set herself up in a little hut at the edge of the woods across the way. And so he went back to the other monks and he said, maybe that's our sign. Maybe we should go to this wise woman and talk to her about what we should do for the future of the monastery. And the other monks said, yeah, you know, that might be a good idea. So one of the brothers, Brother Peter, said, well, let's go and see if she'll talk to us. So they got together, and the next day they went and they found the hut that she lived in, and they knocked on the door. And she opened the door gladly and welcomed them in, and they sat down. And she said, well, I was just making some soup. Can I offer you a little soup? And they're like, oh, sure, that'd be great. So they sat down and they started talking, and they talked about God, and they talked about life, and they talked about love and peace and all their beliefs, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. And before you knew it, the sun was getting ready to set, and they needed to get back to the monastery. And just as they're getting ready to leave, one of the monks said, oh, we forgot. We need to ask you, what can we do to save our community, to save our monastery? And she thought about it. And then she looked at them and she said, I don't know. I don't know what you can do to save your community, your monastery, but I can tell you this. I do know that one of you is the Messiah. They were shocked. And no sooner did she say it, she just closed the door, and they were left standing on the porch. So now here's these 3 monks, and they're kind of flabbergasted. And so they didn't even know what to say to each other. So they walked back to the monastery in silence. And as they did, they're thinking, and they got back and they're like, one of us is the Messiah? One of us? And it was like, it was one of those bodily reactions, that excitement, that tingle, that, wow, who is it? And then, could it be Brother David? I mean, he was the most devout of the three, and he had such an amazing voice. Oh, he could sing, and his beautiful baritone was just so clear, so confident. And when he sang, he was like a different person, but other than that, he hardly spoke all day long. And he usually, if anybody did show up as a visitor, he avoided them. He went and hid. And he didn't like to be interrupted. He had his little routine, and he didn't want to be bothered with anything else. Very introverted. And I'm like, I don't know, could someone that shy really be the Messiah? And then there was Brother Peter. Well, Peter kind of seemed the least likely to be the Messiah. I mean, he was in charge of the kitchen, and he cooked all the meals, and they were good. I mean, he was a good cook. But other than cooking, he didn't hardly do anything. He was pretty lazy. I mean, everybody had chores, and you pretty much knew if there were chores that weren't going to be done, Brother Peter's were the ones that didn't get done. And if any other extra stuff came up that needed to be done, nowhere to be found. So, could it be Peter? Probably not. But then there's always Brother Matthew. Now, he was dependable. And Matthew, he was the handyman of the place. He could fix just about anything. And he had been the ones to take care of the gardens. And he still, he kept them weed-free. They weren't exactly gorgeous, but they weren't completely overrun or anything. I mean, the thing with Brother Matthew was he kind of had a temper, and he wasn't really afraid to show it. And, I don't know have you ever seen an adult throw a temper tantrum? Yeah, well, that was Matthew. So they, couldn't really figure out who it could be. And then each of them secretly were like, could it be me? Could I be the Messiah? Well, they had no answer. The wise woman disappeared. She was gone. So they had nobody to ask, no answers. But something changed. Brother David, who had this beautiful voice, he sang more, and he actually began smiling more and got a little more outgoing, and he would frequently be heard not just singing, the Vespers that were kind of melodic but sad sounding. He would be heard singing joyful songs and songs of praise. And the meals that Brother Peter was preparing, I don't know, they just got better. I don't know if he put some extra herbs in the garden or what it was, but man. And then after he was done doing all his own chores, he'd be like, do you need any help with that? I got a little free time, I'll help you out. I mean, he was different. And Brother Matthew, the gardens good. I mean, he did way more than we. He added more flowers. He added more color. He took such pride in the gardens again that the townspeople started to notice. And they started hearing these sounds of music coming from the monastery. And they went out to see what was going on. And they saw that the gardens had been all spruced up and were so beautiful. And they started walking through, and they'd sit down and they'd pray and meditate and just enjoy the peace and serenity of being in that monastery. And it wasn't long before the word spread. And people started coming from further and further away to find out about this little monastery that had undergone such an amazing change. And after a while, a young man came and asked if he could become a novice with the monks. And of course, they welcomed him. And as time went by, as actually years went by, the news spread further and further. More and more townspeople started to come up to the monastery on a regular basis to attend vespers, to attend services, to listen to the music, to just enjoy the peace, serenity, love, and blessings of being in such a beautiful place. And to this day, that little monastery in the mountains of Hungary is a thriving, growing community. Why? Because they understood that in our midst is the Messiah. Here in Unity East sits the Messiah. We must understand who we really are. We are able, more than able. There is a presence and a power living in us, through us, and as us. We are love, and we are all. Namaste. And guess what time it is? It is time to give. It's time to give back. It's time to say, you know what? I'm going to take what I learned in Unity Peace. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it today. I'm going to use it tomorrow. And when that person who's on the other end of the political spectrum approaches me, I'm going to use it then. And I'm going to be able to, because I am able. I am well able. And that's why we're all here. Because we are able. And we need to live that. So let's take our gifts, hold them in our hands with feeling now, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And now we have our beautiful choir returning for our pleasure.
First of all, are there any brand new people community East here this morning? All family, all right, welcome family. In the interest of time, we are directing you to the foyer, to the large calendar that's here on the whiteboard. So you can see all the events that are happening, and they will be added, what will be added. And anything to sign up for is all, they're all on the boards on the round table near the book order. So we are definitely streamlining, and you could take a picture of that large calendar with your phone. If you need to have it for home, that would be helpful too. Besides, everything is in the bulletin too. All right, so we will just talk a little about the picnic, which is coming next Sunday. Please bring your own lawn chairs or canvas chairs for our picnic. Some of us are bringing extra canvas ones that we have too. So, Connie found us a tent. We'll be having a tent for outside. Thank you so much, Connie, for doing that. So, all the sign-up sheets, if you want to bring extra dishes, is all on the circle table near the book corner. The Sounds of Music will be coming up fairly soon on August 12th. Nancy Motor has $12 advance tickets. There'll be 15 at the door. And Connie was so gracious to design and print those tickets for us. So, I think I am all through. We'll have our stewardship meeting, and while Linda's coming up, why don't eggs tell jokes, y'all? Why don't they tell jokes? Because they crack each other up. I like that.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So the Sunday after the membership meeting is Stewardship Sunday, and I'd just like to let you know the things that we talked about in the stewardship meeting so that everybody's in the know. We're going to have a labyrinth in the eastern portion of our parking lot. It's not going to go up immediately, but we have the okay with it. We have 2 volunteers that's going to help with that. We could use several more volunteers to help with setting it up and painting and stuff. And if you would like to do that, see me after the service. Wonderful. Carol Shekels is loaned us a chair that's outside the door, so I hear...
It's not a loan, it's a gift.
Oh, it's a gift? Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you very much. But in the future, we're kind of thinking about getting a park bench or something for that area also. But thank you for the gift of that, and that's very nice. It's for people that are waiting for us to let them in, and the doorbell is locked, or if they're waiting for a ride to go home. So that was the purpose of that. On October 1st, Reverend Greg Coles of Unity Worldwide Ministry will be leading a workshop titled Board and Leadership, to increase knowledge about being on the board or in leadership of the church. If you're interested in being on the board or being a part of the leadership, you'll need to take this workshop. Reverend Coles is an excellent facilitator, and he will be, and it will be a really interesting workshop. He really keeps your attention, makes it, he's a dynamic speaker. So there is a sign-up sheet for that on the table near the corner. And that will be on October 1st in Farmington Hills, and we will be carpooling for that because it is kind of a hike. And also, if you decide that you want to do it, the church will cover the cost of the workshop. And because we feel it's that important. Our annual meeting will be on October 30th, and there will be an opportunity to run for office. We are going to have some openings. So if you are interested in that, see Kathy Liborski, who's not here today, but it's Betty's sister, and let her know that you're interested in maybe running for the board. I'm not sure if I told everybody or not, but I wrote for a grant for improving our sound system. And it was the help of Connie that helped write it, and also Paul Cryron, who is our sound technician. And anyway, we got the check this week. So I know I announced it before, but there was no money, but now there's money, so we can move on with that. Okay, at the board meeting, we had a discussion about prosperity. One of our board members talked about a vision board she made for herself, and everything she put on that board came about.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we will have a vision board, let's see, I think we'll have an evening where we can make our own vision boards, maybe a little workshop for ourselves in the evening. So, and I think someone may even be making a vision board for our church. I mean, I think we're doing spectacular anyway, but it never hurts to have more, right? If you can.
It's always be better.
It's always can be better. Very right. Right, Melanie. So, someone says a lot. Our thoughts become our reality. So let's make them prosperous thoughts. We say we have those positive thoughts, you know. But then, so often I say, and I'm guilty of this, I can't afford this right now. Oh, my back is killing me. And I'm guilty of these things too. So let's try to be more positive and make that vision board and think prosperity. After service today, the board members and the library volunteers will process 3 large boxes of books that have been donated by one of the people that was visiting with our church. And they all look like really good books. So we're going to process them and we're going to divide them up, and some is going to go into our library. Some is going to go in our little library. We're going to have one of those little libraries out by the front driveway. So we're saving some books for that. And then there's also going to be some books that we're just going to give away. So that'll be at the end of the month. We will invite you to come back there for that. Maintenance. If anyone has any extra time, our flower beds need some weeding. So if you could just come for maybe 45 minutes or an hour and pull a few weeds, it would be greatly appreciated. And thanks to Carol for watering flower beds. The recycle bin finally came. I've been talking about that thing for 3 months. So we have that now, so that's, that will be a help to us. We're looking to get prices for painting the church. We still have a little bit of money left, or some money left, for, from the boiler fund when our boiler blew up. So we're looking to get the church painted and carpeting cleaned and some work done. If you know of anybody that does professional painting, write it down and let me know so we can get some prices for that. And Carol talked about the running list of future events. You know, I have that calendar for each month, but we've got things going on in August, September, November, you know, so, and to know what those dates are, so that'll be good. And then she mentioned about Sounds of Music. They were here before, and we were dancing in the aisles because it was so much fun there. It's really a good group. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to invite you to come, but I'm also going to invite you to sell maybe 3 tickets to somebody else. If we had 15 or 20 people sell 3 more tickets, we could have a really good group in here, and you know why I'm doing that, because it's a fundraiser for hanging off the roof. So I have the tickets here today, so if you would like to purchase one, or if you would like to take some extras to sell, that would be wonderful. There's been requests from Miss Roseanne and her Healing Touch Reiki group to offer evening sessions. So she is going to try this and have one on September 1st from 5 to 8. So the hours for appointments will be 5, 6, and 7 o'clock. And there's a sign-up sheet in the book corner. I'm going to be there that evening to help with that. Her July and August sign-up sheets have already filled up, so the need, I think, is there. And I'm glad that she's able to provide the evening hours. It's also for people that don't get a chance to sign up. You know, sometimes the the paper almost gets filled up before the time, they even post it. So this is for them also. Picnic is next Sunday. I'll be getting the hamburgers and the hot dogs and the buns and the condiments, and I really appreciate how you guys have signed up for the picnics. We're going to have a lot of fun. We've got some games and different things going to happen, and it'll be fun. There's no breakfast for July, there's no breakfast for August, because July is the picnic and August is the ice cream social. So we will restart that breakfast thing in September. That's it for the updates. There's one more thing. We're going to have a memorial service this afternoon for Lenore Pierce. She is the sister of the late Walter Pierce. And they said that it would be okay if I announced it, and if anybody knew them or the family and would like to come, they would be welcome also. That's at 4 o'clock. That's it. So thank you, and you guys have a nice week, and thank you for all your support and your help in all areas of what you're doing. Give yourselves a hand for these. So let's circle up now for the peace song. And we're going to wait on the music until everybody gets planted somewhere, okay? All right, thank you very much.